We just heard Brittany read the first reading from Isaiah, who writes so many centuries before Jesus was born. A light has shone in the darkness. But I wonder, where is it? Where's the light? This has been a tough year. If you turn on the TV at any time, we have been assailed with images and stories of tragedy the world over. Texas is still reeling. We don't see it and hear about it. It's not newsworthy any longer. But there are folks who are still displaced and living in trailers and in tents, literally, and don't know when they'll be back to a regular life. Puerto Rico is still without power. Those folks are scrambling and living on the edge all the time and wondering, when will the light come back on? We can't take a train into the city to see a show or enjoy a restaurant or walk around and look at Rockefeller Center and all of the beautiful lights in Christmas without having a little bit of caution. Because a terrorist act can happen anywhere, anytime, in any place. Because there are those who hate and who seek to solve their problems and what they believe to be wrong with the world with violence. There are shootings in a church, shootings in a school. There seems to be nowhere we can go where we can feel ultimately safe, where we can feel that the light burns bright. And yet Isaiah calls out, a light has shone in the darkness. And that is our hope, and that is our belief. That is what we believe. And our God, much, much different than the gods of the ancient Romans and Greeks, of Plato and Aristotle, who formulated and believed in gods who were just mere abstractions, ideas, images, but gods who lived somewhere else, at arm's distance from mere humans, not really involved in humans' lives. But our God is different. So different, in fact, that we have to, with our brain, get our head wrapped around the concept that we have a God who loves so much that he would become one of us. He would become a person, a human being. And he could have come any way he wanted to. He could have been born into a wealthy, influential family. He could have. He would have had a much easier job of it. But he chose to come in the poorest place, to the poorest family, to do the most menial tasks. To show, I want to be near you. I want to be up close and personal with you, who get up every day and put your feet on the floor and you go to work and you try to make your job work and you try to make your marriage work and you try to raise up your kids well and you do it day in and you day out and you pay your bills and you try to be a good person. That's the God that wants to be in the midst of that. the midst of that. That's our God. A God is not some abstraction in the sky or in a philosophy book, but someone who wore my flesh, felt my feelings, walked my walk, and knows exactly what our lives are like. That's the God we have. So when these terrible things happen, when people resort to guns and bombs and fists and vitriolic words of accusation, tearing other people down, God's not interested in fighting that. There's no interest in gun control or immigration law or any of those things that we might go to as a possible resolution to violence, to reduce racism or hatred, to eradicate assaults in the workplace. That's not what God's interested in. I'll tell you what he is interested in. Yesterday, went to the movies with my family. I took Jack to see Star Wars, The Last Jedi. I'm not going to give it away if you haven't seen it. It's a great movie. So I should have really started this sermon by saying, long ago, far away, far, far Galilee. In a Galilee far distant. Not a galaxy. But a galaxy far, far away in a little town of Bethlehem, a baby was born. Helpless, completely dependent on mother and father for all of his needs. A God who trusted us in our weakness and frailty to care for him. Because he's not interested in a fight. He's not interested in building up armaments or defenses. He's not interested in coming up with a strategy to outwit someone or to outthink or outspeak someone or to win the argument. That's not where God is coming from. And last night in the movie, in a very brief glimpse, in a very brief scene, and I don't think that this was the intention of the movie, but it spoke right to my heart. So the big battle's going on. And the evil First Order has all this weaponized machinery, these incredible guns, and they're blowing up the rebels who are the force for good. There's two rebels who are flying in their little jets, or whatever you call them, and they're all broken down, junky ones. And they're up against state-of-the-art weaponry. And they're determined to overthrow the evil empire and to restore good and peace to the galaxy. And this one fighter is so intent on sacrificing himself, he's going to fly right into the enemy, and his comrade, she doesn't want him to sacrifice his life. And so she purposefully steers her craft into his, causing them both to crash. He gets out of his plane and he runs over to her and he's angry. He's so mad. Why did you do that? I was going to save us. I was going to fly right into their cannon and I was going to destroy the evil. Just before she closes her eyes, she says to him, we don't fight what we hate. We don't fight what we hate. We save what we love. Isn't that a different conversation than what's going on out there in that crazy world where there's not a whole lot of light? We have been gifted by a God who loves us so much that he became one of us so that we could know our own power power to save, power to heal, power to make whole, to restore someone next to me. It could be some lost soul who's outside of these walls right now who doesn't know Jesus yet. It can be someone with whom you share your life under the same roof. Who near you needs to be saved, not fought with? Who needs to be healed, not badgered or nagged? Who needs your love? Touch that love. Bring that love that's uniquely yours to give, because it was given to you 2,000 years ago on this holy night by a baby who taught us the meaning of love. Take the risk, reach out, and bring your love out there to a whole world that's desperately in need of our light, so that we ring true this Christmas those ancient words: a light has shone in the darkness. How do we know that? Because you are there. Amen.
Amen.
Merry Christmas.